Welcome to Native Yoga Toddcast. So happy you are here. My goal with this channel is to bring inspirational speakers to the mic in the field of yoga, massage, bodywork, and beyond. Follow us at Native Yoga and check us out at nativeyogacenter.com. All right, let's begin. Hello, welcome to Native Yoga Toddcast. My name is Todd McLaughlin. My guest this week is Vahid Coskun. I'm so happy to have him here. Check him out on his website, wellnessassemblyservices.com. He has a book called Practice Beyond the Posture, and you can find that in the link below. Click it, check it out. I'll also have his Instagram handle there. You can go ahead and follow him. And wow, we covered a couple of really interesting topics of conversation, and I can't wait to hear what you think. My goal is to interview as many different people with as many different backgrounds, with as many different viewpoints and ideas about yoga, so we can get a taste and a flavor for all that is available here in the world. And I think one of the main taglines that I really enjoyed out of this conversation was, why does meditation not work? Hopefully that intrigues you. Let's begin. I'm so excited to have this chance to meet and speak with Vahid Coskun. Vahid, thank you so much for joining me. How are you feeling today? How's your day evolved so far?
Thank you very much for having me, Todd. I'm pretty excited. This is a good chance to get to know you, have some chat, and ideally, out of our conversation, people will be able to reflect on their life and get some takeaways.
Yeah, I agree. You know, you are the author of a book called Practice Beyond the Posture. Meet yourself through the mental dialogues of yoga and stay in charge of who you are. Can you tell me a little bit about what your process was in writing this book? Or maybe let me back up a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit about like this, a synopsis of how you approach yoga and speaking about yoga and yoga practice through this particular book?
I think this particular book or this perspective on yoga practice evolved over the last 13 years of me teaching. And we know the Bikram style. I just learned that you were very close with that kind of yoga style too. So when you first start teaching, there's a dialogue, everything is said. So there's a certain level of military attitude, like totalitarian regime. I tell you what to do, and you do exactly what I say,
I'm glad.
which works for some people. I'm not saying it doesn't work,
Yeah.
but when you do that, and it doesn't work for certain people, you have to think, I was like, is yoga not for everybody? Is what I'm doing wrong? Because as the person in authority of the class, that will also put you in a different place.
Yeah.
So after maybe 2, 3 years, now I'm comfortable teaching. I know exactly what to say. I could teach even in my sleep. So my insecurity of doing a good job in class vanished, and I could just be present. I didn't have to be a good teacher. I didn't have to be a bad teacher. I could be whatever. And in that present moment that I was there in the moment enough to not worry about what I was doing because everything was so automatic, I could start to observe other people going through their experience. And the beautiful thing is, it's the same. Like what you go through in life is what I go through. It's the same thing. I think the alienation we feel is because we focus on the differences of what is so good. I was like, that person's life is way better than mine, this and that. But we don't really think that, hey, that person has the same suffering like I do. It might not look the same way. We might not be suffering in the same exact moment. But in general, the guardrails of our experience is so similar that I would see somebody in class suffering and being hard on themselves. They are going through a hard time, but they are also thinking themselves into a way that doesn't help their suffering. So the process of this book, or the mutation of my teaching, evolved out of compassion in a way, because you see some, like if you see a kid hurting themselves because they take the rake and then keep putting it like into their head, and they don't correlate the fact that, hey, because they are pushing at the bottom of the rake, that's why the acidic is hitting them. I'm basically initiating people to think that, hey, like this is where you step and that is the consequences. So that space in the room in which I was able to observe somebody in their raw naked thoughts and then be able to note them down, because it's also very hard to say it in class. Like there's 20 people, 30 people in class, and I still have to teach the other 29 people, but I have to say something to you which will make sense to everybody, but it will take too long. You will get mad at me because I'm talking too much.
Yeah, I understand.
So basically I took it, I wrote down, I take another case, I wrote it down, I saw another allegory, I wrote it down for 5, 6 years. And when I gathered this all together, it became a very relatable source for people to give a language on the experience that they are going through. Like just saying it sucks is not enough. Like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
sucks and this is how I handle it. So maybe we layer the emotions or we layer the experience.
Great point. That's amazing. How do you observe students and know that they are being hard on themselves? Is this through a dialogue that you have either pre-class, post-class, or maybe even during, or are you able to observe body language that is representative of perhaps a negative mindset?
I think it's both in a way that first I have to be comfortable with myself. I must have witnessed what they are going through in a way in my own experience. Like, because we can look at a spectrum of colors, and if you don't know any color before green, you will only see three colors. And if you can recognize, I was like, there's another break. So I think there is a little bit of that is bandwidth, or being okay with what is, rather than it's like, I'm such a good presenter, I cannot be nervous. So if I think that, then when anxiety arises in my body, I will either disinterpret it or neglect it. So there is so many parts of me that I stop neglecting, and I could look at it without a non-judgmental, let's put it that way, non-judgmental point of view. Then I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I go through. This is what I think in that moment. And when you look around with that lens, everybody's going through the same thing. It's like you look at a child, and the child is about to hurt themselves, or the child about to do something that's not really what is good for them. Is this mind reading, or is this experience gathered into a very organized pattern? I don't know, but I think it's kind of both.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
going to say that I'm a mind reader,
yeah.
but if I think I read your mind, it's mostly true.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense because you're drawing from the probabilities and the fact that you're seeing that we all are the same, more or
Yeah.
less. That's cool. Well, why do you think we have such a hard time seeing our similarities and we tend to focus so much on our differences?
We like to be unique. I mean, come on, that's the paradox. Like we are all different, and the fact that we are all different makes us the same. Like we are all spatial, but the fact that we are all spatial makes us kind of mundane. But Alan Watts says this the best. When you can hold two opposing truths at the same time, you have arrived at peace.
Mm,
Like you are a regular guy. You don't matter in the scope of the universe, but at the same time, you are the universe. Like you are such a unique, true human being that is unignorable. Like you have treasures inside of you. But at the same time, the guy right next to you has the same thing too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's humbling, but at the same time, kind of giving you the self-respect and worth that you have always been deserving of.
Yeah. What type of upbringing did you have with your since childhood? Did you have a spiritually orientated view of the world through the lens of your parents, or is this something that you feel like you were so curious about from a young age that you've pursued up to this point?
So like my childhood was in a way a little bit organized. I had 30,000 eyes on me all the time because my dad was working for the government's religious department. So imagine all the priests in your little town knows who you are. That guy was me. Like all the imams, there's I don't know 3,000 imams. They would all know who I am. So I grew up with a lot of scrutiny, or with a lot of eyes on me. But the spiritual side is more from the culture. There is like in our culture from the East, unreachable love is more valuable than the love that you can consummate. So in my mind, there was always this spiritual shenanigans. Like we would grow up with the stories of Rumi or other folklore tales or the guys walking on water. So as a child, I had big aspirations for enlightenment. Huge. Like that was my goal. I'm like, okay, if the biggest reward in life is enlightenment, which was true. And but it also comes with the downsides of it because you can't really give up yourself if you don't know who you are. So it builds very good foundations, but also lacks certain aspects, which is very complementary to Western world. It's like you gotta be the individual, but it lacks
Yeah,
the other side of the spectrum.
that's so true. You know, I love that you brought up Rumi because I can you tell me like what from so you grew up in Turkey, what was your introduction to Rumi? Was that something that everybody knew who Rumi was and he was celebrated? Because I feel like I had to be here, someone had to say, "Oh, look at this book, check this out," and then Rumi blew my mind. I'm curious, is that someone that is very a part
He's
of the core?
definitely like a big figure. So those are essential Sufis, I would say, have a big place in literature too. His understanding, his sayings, "Oh, come whoever you are," like those kind of what is this main media phrases are like have always been around.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
Awesome, man. So
but he
then,
is one of the most misunderstood guys too because of I think most of the English translations of Rumi, especially by Coleman Barks, have been very de-Islamized.
de-Islamized, like
Like
they've
yeah, like God
removed the Islam component out of Rumi's language.
completely. Like this is also in a way dangerous because like one of the things I read beyond the righteousness and like doing right and doing wrong, there is a field. I will meet you there. It's like when you hear this, oh, it's like, oh, this is so spiritual, so mystical, but it leaves you in a state of ecstasy. But we are not butterflies. Like,
Mm,
we are human beings. It's so good to feel that ecstasy, but it still has to be relatable.
yeah.
So, one
Yeah.
of the things that is missing is, for example, in that line, beyond the righteousness and wrongdoing, there is a place in which the seeker prostrate himself. You just take that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like he just put so that virtue of prostration is basically like your submission to the higher power, but you take it out there. You just like give the wine, but there is no light after it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's beautiful. I think the way Rumi opened the heart of people in the West is beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, I
Because
agree.
it at least makes you hey like there's more, and I want it.
Great point. Great point. Well, at what age did you move to US?
I first came when I was 20 and I have been here since I'm 26. So
Nice, nice. And
I've
you
been in and out for a little bit.
can you tell me a little bit about what you currently do? Do you you before pre-podcast before we hit record, you said you live in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
and I've from visiting your website, which let me make sure I get this right, is wellnessassemblyservices.com, and that you do coaching for corporate individuals, mindfulness coaching for corporations and businesses. Is that, am I right?
Yes, that's very right. So after I was a hippie yoga teacher traveling the world, I like this is great, but I look at the calendar, it's not 1970s. So I thought I would change something. I stopped being a hippie yoga teacher, and there was a master's program in Maryland, which is 40 minutes from DC. It's called Maryland University of Integrative Health. I did a master's on yoga therapy and mindfulness, and that switched my understanding of everything. I was the guy who didn't meditate because it wouldn't work. I couldn't meditate. Just structurally, it wouldn't work. I'm always thinking, I'm always reasonable, I'm always headstrong. But doing this masters, I understood that wow, like there's another world out there that's just as real, if not more real. And there's a lot of work to do there too. But the
Nice.
problem is the type A guys, that is most of DC, does not have a way of relating to that mental side of the work without things turning into fairy tales, energy work, woody goody. Things get kind of out of touch, especially how people refer to this. Like, I am not going to make you sit down and focus on a beaming radiant light showering on you if your mind is running at the beta brainwave 5 million times a minute. But that guy needs that the most. So I found the ways of convincing that guy into relatable, tangible, executable instructions, after which he experiences that state of bliss. And once you experience it once, you will do anything to get there. Then you will let the light shine on you, this and that. But that first initial step of believing that world exists is the catalytic point. And because I had such a drastic experience of like, oh, am I gonna pay somebody to make me breathe? To, oh, like the secret of life is in your breath.
Yeah.
So I can cater to that old version of me who is still running and crunching numbers and, achieving everything in their life, which I think I am a good match for it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I hear you. Can you share a little bit about what your first experience having a professional gig where you got in front of a group of business orientated individuals in Washington, D.C., and how that experience was for you? I had one really amazing experience, opportunity to go teach yoga to a corporate tech conference, and I had a blast. I had so much fun,
So
but I
good.
was very nervous going into it because I operate in my own studio. And so I'm everybody who comes in, I know they want to be here. And so it's a totally coming out of your comfort zone to go into a conference room in a hotel full of folks that are looking at you like, that you kind of get the sense that they already have this idea in their head that it's going to be a woo woo wee kind of experience. And so to win them over was just one of the highlights. So I'm curious, what was your first experience like, and what drives you to continue to do what you do?
I think my main drive, like everybody has insecurities, nerves, this and that, but the way I write it off is if I am invited. I just have to be invited at the position that I'm at. I'm not a salesman. I can't make you my client. I can't sell this HR, this program. But when I'm invited, that's how my first experience was. It wasn't in DC actually. It was in Washington. It was in New York City. I just met a wellness company that they signed a big contract with MTA, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Huge place. And you have to work with bus drivers, just trained conductors, and the people at the headquarters. They put me into the headquarters. I went there, and it's like the Wall Street. So there's tables over tables with little cubicles, and everybody's running, everybody's screaming. That is the control center of MTA. And I was the third guy. The two guys before me, they came out, they had 1 hour shifts in the room. They said, oh, like nobody wants to meditate. We just go there, we smile. I did one person. The other guy said, I did one person and one group. And I'm like, what is wrong with this? Like, I just
Mm.
walk in there and I'm just excited. Like, these guys are me. You know, it's the 27 Virgin Wahid is 50 years here, 40 years old lady there, 55 years, another guy here. I'm like, oh, I have to talk to these guys. I sat down with them. I just sneaked into a guy. I said, how's it going? He said, good. How are you? Good. They have meditation thing. Do you have time for that kind of woody goody stuff? I told him. He started laughing. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it doesn't work. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, it's nothing. I just basically told him that just when you are sitting here, you hear the crowd. Like, how far can your ears stretch? Like, can you? The room was very big. I said, can you pick up any sounds from the outside of this room? And I cued him into some numbers around him. Like, is there any different fonts? I basically, made him check in with his five senses. He didn't know.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, like come back here, close your eyes and observe your breath for a second. He goes like this. He opens his eyes. He looks at me like I'm a magician. Like for me, it's trivial. Like that's like how you
Yeah.
begin, right? It's
Yeah. Yeah.
not even 2 minutes. The guy is like this, and I'm like, okay, enjoy this. You can go back to work. Next table, next table, next table. Nobody said no to me. I've worked with probably like 29 people. I didn't, when my shift ended, I didn't leave because they were still working. I'm like, I'm gonna stay here. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I got the key for these guys. And it just snowballed from that moment.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So like just so I understand the situation, it's almost like you're walking in and they're saying, just go person by person and see if they want to have you work with them.
Yeah.
And
So
and
generally, how these things happen is the HR wants to throw an event, and it's their responsibility to make the event appealing. So they put massage, meditation, this and that. And what I do is I go in there and I just make a party. It's very easy to introduce everybody with the massage therapist, but when it comes to the yoga, the acupuncturist, it's like a farmer's market for wellness.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
when people come in, you just have to see them where they are and then offer them what they need in a way that they can accept.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't I can't tell you to do childhood work, or I can't get you onto a meditation or a acupuncture table if you don't think you need it.
Yeah.
So whatever you need, like my team is very intuitive in terms of looking at you, forgetting about the structure, and then giving you what you need. So that program was just one service of that bigger company was applying. Now I translated it into my way of better way in DC. Most of the time I don't work with that schedule. It's very good, but most people can't really kind of sneak into your subconscious brain like I do. So we either do group meditations or I would work with their key team members one on one. It's a little bit more structured, but everything in person. I have zero professional things for the companies online.
That's so cool. You said my team. Is this your company and you've put a team together now? So you're more or less in charge and you're the one that's also going to well, okay, let me back up. Do you to get jobs, to get work, because I'm kind of putting I want to put the hat on of thinking of maybe a yoga teacher that lives in an environment where there are a lot of professionals that are contemplating what it would be like to create a business career like you have out of this. What is the process of gaining clientele? Like what, or are people
Yeah.
seeking you because you've already done a good enough job in New York and you've done a good enough job here that now you've been able to have people contact you? But what does this process look like? How could this unfold for myself or somebody else curious?
I need mentoring myself in terms of selling. I spent 2 years, Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, just the top G's of sales. I know everything about sales. My system doesn't like sales. Something intrinsically, I'm not the person who's like, hey, this. But how my came around is first those subcontracts in New York gave me a very solid idea. Is like, hey, this is a way more stable way of earning your life. And because I have been back in DC for 6 years, 7 years at that time, people heard, they're like, oh, that's so cool. Why don't you come to my company too? It's like, oh, that I heard about that event. Would that be okay if we did something here? So it's just word of mouth for me.
Very cool.
And the bigger team is anything mindfulness or meditation related. I do it. I teach the courses. I do one-on-ones. And when I get those wellness party day at the office events, then I have to branch out and I have a lot of subcontractors. I have my massage therapists, acupuncturists, nutritionists. Then we go to the office and do a 4 hour, 3 hour event in which all the employees are invited to come, learn about their health, get a little bit of a massage, do a little bit meditation. Those are more like happy hour events that the companies are doing, but kind of regretting doing it. So this is a true gift to their employees, kind of brings people back into the office. And anything else, I'm basically in charge.
That's cool. You teach at a yoga studio in DC as well, correct?
Yeah. I have
And
my staple studios, the studio that I teach mainly. I was a 22-year-old young boy teaching yoga there. So I have been there for a long time. And a very dear friend of mine has another studio in DC. So I do still teach in the studios, but it is A to help the studio because when I'm around, people gravitate towards it. B, it also gives me new opportunities to meet new clients.
that's cool. When you are working in the corporate office environment, do you sometimes let people know if you'd like to continue to practice, you could come practice with me at Tuesday at 10 o'clock or something like that? Or maybe because it's 9 to 5, maybe like Tuesday at like 8 o'clock at night. But
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, do you
I
ever
do invite people to the studios, not necessarily my classes,
yeah,
because my classes are great, but if I'm teaching once a week, it's not enough for you. So I try to drag the people to the studios, and it's like, hey, like some people will love this person's class, some people will hate. Just don't ask anybody how this teacher is. Go take 2 classes, have your own inventory of who you like, what you like. Try it all.
yeah,
Yeah.
very cool.
It's a unique experience. Like I remember one time I came out of a class. I hated the class. The teacher spoke too much, just the pitch, the tone, everything. I don't think objectively there was one thing to like about the class. I come out, this other lady comes out of the class, the teacher comes out of the class, and this other lady sincerely complimenting what kind of a great class it was. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, is she lying? No, she believes it. She had the best class ever. And I had the worst class. So I'm like, okay, like, there's no objective reality here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so classic. When you were telling me that story, I remember taking a hot yoga class from somebody. It was at Bikram studio in LA, and he was in the teacher training, and he was It was almost like he was an auctioneer cartoon guy. It was, and I thought the same thing. I came out going, that was so obnoxious, and I had other people go, wow, that was
Yeah.
incredible. So it is classic, isn't it? You held up your book earlier and you showed me Eagle Pose.
Yes,
Can
sir. Do
can
you
you
want
get
me to
yes,
show it?
please. Yes,
Which
please.
pose would you like?
Eagle pose. Let's just start there. You showed me. It has a line drawing of Garudasana, eagle
Yeah.
posture, and I'm
Shout out to Taylor Castles. She did all these drawings.
very cool, amazing. Anybody that's listening can go to our YouTube channel and see Vahid showing us right now. And so, can you tell me a little bit like what that particular chapter talks about, and or that particular pose, so I have an idea. We have an idea of maybe one of the storylines that you follow in relation to coaching us to have how we could work with our mindset.
Yeah, like this pause is actually has two reminders because it's at the end of the warm up. You still have ample energy in your body. You feel like you can conquer the world, but the dialogue gets very detailed now, and you haven't been paying attention to your breath, but you still want to do a great job.
It's so true.
And in the
That's
background of your mind, it's like this is talking about a battle in the background of your mind. Uh, is this? Yeah. Basically, your heart needs the energy because it has to pump the blood. Your muscles need the energy because they have to structure your body. Your brain needs the energy because you are doing something very sophisticated, like everything one, two, three, four. So basically, four times you are trying to cross the midline with your limbs. And in this is like a beta version. In order to be in this moment, you have to be in your beta brain waves because there's just too many variables, too many thoughts. But also in the back of your mind, this is talking about the generals are fighting. What is what is the good alignment? How do we engage the body? What do we do with the shoulders, with the hips? But you also want to do the perfect eagle pose. What is good? Am I good? What is the best way of doing this? And this scene, which everybody goes through, and then they think that, oh, I just started thinking too much, is just a scene. And in this moment is one of the first reminders to, hey, when this is all going on, you have to really be a master of multitasking. What is multitasking? You are relaxing the right inner thigh, but contracting the right outer thigh. You are contracting the entire thing in your body, but kind of creating space in your shoulders. You're working very hard with your body, but you kind of have to keep a serene place in your mind. So, in this pose, I think I'm diving a little bit deeper into those dialogues.
yeah,
It says,
yeah.
like, what is good enough? What is good for who? Does the body have to be suffering to be able to feel like it's doing good enough? What is sufficient? Is survival sufficient? Yada, yada, yada. What defines good?
These are
And
good.
when that ramble goes,
Yeah,
and if you are not paying attention to it, it becomes your reality.
mm, true. Great point. I mean,
And when you know it's just like another folder, just another tab running, but then you bring the tab back into the browser in which the video and the sound effects are the same, then you feel better. So I'm basically, it's so easy to say that, hey, bring your awareness to your breath. It's almost boring for me to tell you to bring your awareness to your breath because it's just so easy, so vague. But in that moment, when 500 other tabs are running, and you are barely surviving, there's only one thing you can do. Like, hey, pay attention to your breath. Like, come back to the center.
yeah, good point. I like the fact that you're bringing some of the nuance into the amount of energy we have at that point, especially when you're in a really hot room and you're just getting started and you know that you have the balancing series that's about to follow. One thing I think is really interesting about the way that Bikram sequenced the postures is that and I like to juxtaposition it with other styles or other traditions in the way that they decided to sequence their standing poses. And I like the fact, I think what's interesting in relation to him taking us from eagle into standing head to knee, standing bow, and balancing stick, where you're doing these really long holds on one leg. And then he takes us into the wide leg stretching poses like the triangle and the wide foot stretching pose and the standing separate leg head to knee. What is out of those three standing poses that I just mentioned, the standing head to knee or standing bow or the balancing stick, can you give me an idea of what ideas you put emphasis on in your book in relation
Yeah.
to some
For
of the,
those three, I think the
yeah,
biggest part is focus. And I make a parallel in terms of how to how to refer to your own thinking like you are investing your money. If you have a dollar, it's worthless. What are you going to buy with a dollar? But again, if you put that dollar into an account, next day another one. So your tiny little bit of change, eventually, with consistent effort, becomes a little bit of a saving. Oh, you have $100 now. You also get $2 dividends on it. It just becomes eventually your little change, if directed or invested in the right place, will give you means that you would not be able to entertain before. And in the same way, your attention is like a dollar. 1 second here, a sound comes, I look there. I go on to the reels, 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 4 seconds.
yeah,
So I'm just scattering $1 bills, cha 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 cha, all over the place. But when you accumulate these little bits of attention, you cultivate a state of focus. It's a different thing. Like $100 million is not the same thing as $100 million $1. A
yeah,
hundred, although it's the total sum of all, it is something different. It's the same. I live 24 hours, but 24 hours of doing 24 different things versus 24 hours of doing just one thing. It's not the same thing.
yeah, yeah,
It's like the multiplier is not 24. It's 24 million times more.
yeah,
So the main reason, especially on the Bikram would always say these poses are balance and all, but it's more like about your willpower, and our willpower is withered. We don't know where it is. So I'm telling you, by bringing your mind to your right leg, you are teaching your mind how to turn attention into focus, and this will translate to everything else in your life.
yeah. Great point. And I like the fact that you're creating relatable, like obviously if you're working within the business world and you use an analogy about dollars, people are like,
Yeah.
oh, now I know what you're talking about. Like speak more about this, right?
Yeah.
Versus if, I don't know, you get a little more esoteric and start talking about the subtle body. It's just not
I
going
love all
to,
that stuff. I love it,
I
but
do
it's just
too. Yeah.
unrelatable.
Yeah. Very cool. I'm
I'm
trying
like, your Manomaya Kosha is experiencing the trouble. I'm like, come
to,
on, hey, can we, take a break?
great point. Like, so can you speak a little bit about the importance of reading your group and then knowing how to connect? Because you made a comment earlier where you said, not everybody knows how to get into the subconscious of other people's minds the way I do, or like maybe, so I'm curious if you could, and I like that you brought attention to that because there is a real art to being relatable. And the fact that you brought up the word subconscious, because I don't know how often do I, as I interact with someone, the first time maybe I come in contact with them, am I aware of what sort of subconscious interaction we're having? The surface level, that's pretty easy to pick up on. So can you talk a little bit more about your understanding of what it's like to connect with others subconsciously?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I really hope that you're enjoying this episode, and I just wanted to take a moment to announce a course that I'm really excited to release. It's a free course, and it's called 8 in 8 Learn 8 Limb Yoga in 8 Days. My goal is to help coach you along in the Ashtanga yoga practice in a way where we take just the sun salutations, the fundamental asanas, and the final breathing poses, break it down with some philosophy videos as well, explaining the 8 limbs of Ashtanga yoga in a very easy to use, friendly course that is totally free. Click the link below, check it out. Let me know what you think. All right, let's get back to the episode.
It's burdening in the beginning. It's so basically, let me
Did you
honestly tell you how I got
did
there.
you say burdening? Like it's a burden?
Burdening. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
burdening
it's
if
hard.
you don't have your own
Yeah.
boundaries.
Okay, good. Great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But please do tell me, please be honest and tell me how you get. Yeah, I want to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, in the psychological world, trauma sensitive childhood, this and that, I all respect that. But at the same time, we we are in such desperate need of finding an enemy to feel safe. And the enemy becomes the trauma. Oh, I have this trauma. I have that. Everybody has a trauma. So basically, my childhood trauma brought me to this place in which if I didn't understand the state of mind you are in, my survival would be threatened. There's the teacher walking. The teacher is a very moody teacher. And the teacher, so we have a saying in Turkey, take my son, his bones are yours, his flesh is mine. So basically, excuse me, his flesh is yours, his bones are mine. So basically, the teacher can do whatever they want with you if you didn't memorize, if you didn't study, if you didn't do whatever. And my survival as my child was like nobody likes to be beaten up, right? And I would have to know your mood in order to be safe. This is why there are empaths. I'm like, I'm such an empath. I feel everything deeply. Yes, you are because you had to as a child for your own safety. But like now I'm an adult. And I would still walk into the room and feel the cringe this person is going through, feel the suffering that person is going through, or feel the joy that person is in. But if I don't know who I am, it immediately, like, I will feel like how you feel. I don't know if you have been into, like, if you have looked into the human design kind of things in terms of how you are as a person. And not having that boundary of hey, like this is what you feel and this is what I feel, I would literally feel like you.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the beginning I would come out of the class feeling like crap because people had a crappy class, or I would come out of the class feeling like a superman because everybody had a great class. But none of it was me. I'm basically like a unknown cup that is easily fillable from any outside force, any outside energy, any outside mood or attitude. And I stopped being, overflowed by other people, by a lot of isolation, a lot of, I mean, I spent like 3 days in a cave. I spent 10 days without food. And eventually I'm like, okay, this is who I am. And this is what it feels like when something from me comes up. And this is how it feels like when somebody fills me up unconsciously. And then unconscious world is very open to being explored. Like the unconscious world doesn't want to stay in like they don't want to stay in dark. Those things want to come out too. They are beautiful. But because our consciousness is so hyper focused on getting the money, getting the job, being like Taylor Swift or whatever, we are like so oriented in something else that
Yes.
I'm not even interested in me. Hey, like I have bad feelings. Oh no, like I have good nothing. Like I want to basically forget about me and be like her or be like him.
Yes. Yes.
So when I could contain my subconsciousness from being filled or discharging out, because you also give away too. I'm like, oh wow, like most people are just, that's why people are friends. Like, I feel great with this person because you just keep leeching their energy or giving your burden to them. When somebody asks how you are doing, I'm like, oh, like I was abused, I was this, I was that. Like, why are you unloading on me right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the subconscious mind is a very, very beautiful place. But everybody has to spend some time with it.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. I mean, this is a great debate slash conversation to have because I was just having this the other day with another yoga teacher in relation to the way things have evolved over the last 20 years from, I mean, oh my gosh, we could go down a really interesting road because if we look at the way Bikram was and the way he taught, I mean, it was, what's the right way to say? I typically use the same word, so I'm trying to be a little bit more creative, but it was very strict. There was no coddling. There was no, at one point, I remember I was on the third day of the training. I was standing up in the front thinking I'm going to try to do a good job. And he held us so long in a pose in the standing head to knee pose that it was so hot that my body started to cramp up after the class to the point where I was going into dehydration and my ears were like going wah, wah, wah. And all of a sudden I started feeling like I was going into a black hole and my whole body started cramping up, fingers, toes, legs, arms, and I started screaming. And someone didn't know what to do. Everyone looked at me, they're freaking out. Why is this guy losing his mind? And I was like, literally like having a full body cramp up, and it was really painful. And so Bikram came over and he put his hand on my chest and he was like, "Get up, boss, get up." And I was so shocked out of my pain that I thought, I can't get up. And there's a big circle of people around me. And I got up and I followed him. We walked to the locker room and he looked at me and he goes, "You look like a baby when you cry." And I was like, okay. I was like, I don't even care what you think about me right now. I'm in so like, I was so like, I felt hallucinating. I was in this weird space. He was hard. He was a hard teacher, man. He was so brutal. And so I guess my point is now, fast forward 20 years, and we have a lot of trauma sensitive, trauma aware teaching styles that are very prevalent now, which I agree with you. I am right on board with. And now I think we're in this interesting zone of somehow we could benefit potentially blending like I like what you said, where you said, I can feel your pain, but I don't have to take your pain on. Or I can know I have my own pain, but I don't need to dump my pain on you. And in a self-awareness, so I think there's room for us to be trauma sensitive and also a little edgy too at the same time. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
100%. I think the biggest trauma today, which I actually wrote somewhere in the book, I don't know which chapter, but the biggest trauma today is trying to be trauma free. I'm like,
Try,
come on, you are not a spirit. Like, okay, you are a
yeah.
spirit having a physical experience. But again, listen to what you just said. You are a spirit having a physical experience. Why do you discard the physical part? Like, this physical world is messy, it has problems. You look at a forest, and if you want to look some kind of an order in the roots of a tree, you are going to lose your mind. Like, I want a tree without the bump. Like, are you asking
Yeah.
ChatGPT to write something? You know what I mean? It became the trauma. Ah, I'm gonna make my child raise without any traumas, and now that kid is traumatized
I know.
because they didn't wanna, like, you didn't want them to have it. Like, make it a little better. Like,
Yeah.
my dad did whatever I did. Like, can I do
Yeah.
a little better than him?
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
Like,
Good point.
we have been evolving for the last I don't know how many thousand years. Like, the evolution doesn't have to stop with me. I should leave some work for my youngers. What is he gonna tell to his therapist? He should complain about me too. Because I'm a real person and because he's a real person.
Yeah.
Like, we are not virtual reality perfections.
Agreed. Yeah. Good point. Good point. Well, to jump gears a little bit, I heard you made mention, you said earlier before we push record, you said, meditation doesn't work. And it kind
Yes,
of took
sir.
me back a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about what you mean by that statement?
Yeah, like most people that I work with is just so headstrong that they still believe so much in the lifestyle that they have to be. I should put it that way. They don't see any other way of living. There's only one way. And I can only live if I'm working 14 to 16 hours a week, a day, every day. If I'm hustling, if I'm running from this to that. This is the only thing I know in terms of life. But you are telling me that, hey, there's something else. If you sit down and meditate, your life will be better. So I try to sit, and I don't believe in that other life. I still want to do everything that I want to achieve in this life. I don't want to change anything. So just give me the fix that I will do whatever I am doing better. I don't want to change. I don't want to change anything. I just meditated 20 minutes this morning. I said that I'm rich, I'm beautiful, I'm powerful. So where is the money?
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
when you like if you sit, you meditate, and if you stand up the same person, you didn't meditate. If you sit, you meditate, and then you stand up a different person, then you meditated. So when I say meditation don't work in the lifestyle that you are desperately or hopefully or unconsciously trying to sustain. It will not work in that matrix. It will change your matrix, it will change your paradigms, but not for that part of you, not for the reasons you want it to work in the beginning. It's just like a drug otherwise. I'm like, in order to do what I have to do, let me get that fix. And most people with hot yoga too, hot yoga has a very druggy effect to it because it's very chemically addictive. It's so good, it's very helpful, and no matter how conscious or unconscious you are going to have a great feeling after class. So that's the problem with my long time experienced students. They just go in there, they do whatever they do, they come out. So they are just doing the same thing they did 10 years ago, which is the same thing as, yeah, like this is how I maintain the status quo.
Yeah, that's a good point. Great point. I agree with you. Can you also, you made another statement too as well that I thought was interesting, mindfulness regarding not being non-judgmental. Or can you speak a little bit
Yeah.
about the role of judgment and our experience with interaction with society?
I think just like spirituality, I love spirituality and I am a spiritual person, whatever. But when somebody says, I'm a free spirit, I'm spiritual, I live a non-judgmental life, something inside of me irks. It's a very toxic idea today. I'm not saying spirituality or non-judgmentalism or anything is bad within itself. It's just like money. Money is not bad. What you do with money is the the result. So if you are a free spirit and if you are a spiritual person or if you are living a life non-judgmentally, just so you don't feel bad about a mistake you made, I'll question it. Like non-judgment is not a life with no mistakes, free flow, going with the flow, non-judgmental, like the understanding of non-judgments is very toxic. You do like in if you're a human being, if you are living a conscious life, you have to have a faculty of discernment. We have to know what is right. Like I have to know what is the good and what is bad fruit. I have to know what is poison and what is nutritionally feasible. But when it comes to this, yeah, I did this, I went through this toxic relationship, but it was okay. It was just so we are basically growing intricate ways of intellectualizing ourselves out of feeling guilt. You should feel guilty sometimes. It's part of the sacrum. I'm not saying you should be crippled by guilt, But you should feel guilty if you did something bad. You should resent something if you did something that's worth resenting. So maybe that little bit, I'm not saying you should get stuck there,
Mm.
but you cannot improve if you do not see or recognize a mistake. If you don't see that, like, I'm not telling you're a bad person, but you did some very bad stuff. Who is going to come to terms with that? You can't, because you are non-judgmental. That means you have zero discernment. You don't want to look at your life and then take things in charge. It's like, okay, hey man, we messed up. I messed up 30 years in my life, which takes a lot of gut to assimilate. It's humbling. It's going back to the drawing board. It's accepting the fact that, hey, like, you are still a student in life. But no, yeah, there is no mistake. What is our guy? Our guys are feelings now. I felt like this. Like, the biggest justification for something is I felt like, well, I thought we were supposed to not suppress the feelings. That's bad. But also not, we are not animals. We have urge control. There has to be some criteria of this fine experience of being human, which discernment is one of the biggest essential parts of it. So that's why I said a
Yeah, yeah.
non-judgmental approach doesn't work.
I understand that. Let me just throw this out here and just see what your feedback is. If we look at Old Testament, New Testament, and the Quran, there is judgment.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's a price to pay. And then as we're evolving, there's a lot of the atheistic movement is growing in some respect. And so there's maybe a dropping off of a sense of any sort of judgment that could occur at the time of our passing. And do you think that that might be why there's a little bit of a movement toward let's all be just kind of peace and love and not have any judgment? And I see what you're saying where, to live a healthy life, we need to have a healthy balance of judgment, a healthy balance of guilt, a healthy balance of kindness and goodness toward others and sharing, and then also being able to stand ground and know when we're being taken advantage of. So I'm just curious if, in the relation to that sort of investigation of the evolution from our original religious underpinnings and where we're kind of like, and I get it because I grew up in a very judgment based, you're going to hell kind of
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
do something bad, you're
100%.
going to pay forever and you'll never get out of that place, right? So so at one point in my life I was kind of like, I got to leave all that behind. I don't want to live with all that judgment on me, right? And all that guilt, that Catholic guilt, all that kind of stuff. How do you feel we could reconcile in our modern world a balance between these what seems like opposing forces? Maybe they're not.
I think the whole Democratic Party is running on guilt. It became like I cannot talk to a white girl without her having to feel guilty. I'm like, come on, like guilt is interesting. But going back to the religion, oh man, I
I know
just
we're
I
going into
just
like
feel
really
so
tricky
bad for.
territory. Yeah, but please, yeah, go ahead. Thank
Say
you.
again.
I was gonna say I know we're going to a tricky territory because as soon
Let's
as we,
go, let's go. I feel just so bad for God because imagine he's like trying to convey a message, you know, but then this message comes through with other people. Again, people. So whenever there is people, there is humanistic touches like struggle for power, for example. One of the main things you give man power and you see who he is. So I think the distaste on judgment is legit. It's reasonable because the religious people have abused this power. Like, yes, you will go to hell, you in general, unless you repent. That's the thing. But you feeling guilty and repenting and going back to the church is making me more powerful because I'm the priest. So, hey, like, come back to me. I am the guy who tells you exactly what the scripture says, and you can understand it, and you need my judgments onto you. Because if you don't do this, you are going to hell. So because of a person, we hate it. Like because somebody made a very uncomfortable chair, now we hate the forest and all the wood. So God gave the message. He said, hey, like don't kill each other. And then New Testament, as much as not killing each other, also love each other. And Islam came, don't kill each other, love each other, and live in a society. Hey, like you are using Android, I'm using Apple phone, he's using Nixie, Google, whatever. We all need an operating system. And some people can argue that Android, Apple, whatever is better, but in reality, they won't make the call. Like, are you actually calling with the phone, or are you debating with other phone owners that your phone is better?
I
So
like that
in that same
analogy.
case,
I like that analogy.
it's not the problem of the idea.
Yeah.
It is how religious people impose those ideas on us so they felt more powerful.
Yeah. I like that answer.
Yeah, but 100% like that distaste for religious judgment, I carry it myself. I was exposed to it tremendously, but at least for me, leaving the environment that I was exposed to it, now I'm like, okay, like nobody tells me nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, what do I tell myself? So
Yeah.
that is the dialogue.
Yeah. Oh man. Vahid, I really I really enjoyed meeting. I really enjoyed this opportunity to sit down and chat with you, and I appreciate your perspective. And thank you so much for sharing it. And I really enjoyed I want to get a copy of your book, and I really
I'll send you a signed copy. Let's put it that way.
thank you so much. And
Thank you so much, Todd.
it's been a great opportunity. I hope to stay in contact with you. Is there anything that you you know, without putting pressure on you, but let me put a little pressure on you. Can you give us something good to close with that? Let's go down the line of like, I would like to envision us being able to get along a little bit better together as a global community. Is there anything you can, you can share that you think could help inspire us to pull that off?
Yeah, we are 2 seconds away from world peace. Not too long, 2 seconds. If everybody were to breathe or were to exhale 2 seconds longer. You know, my main message is that, hey, like you are a very worthy person. You have the hidden treasures of the universe inside of you, but it just sounds too much. So instead, I think if you exhaled 2 seconds longer, that effect will have overall lasting effects in your nervous system activity. And that down regulation of your nervous system activity will probably eliminate 80% of the problems and worries you generally have. So very applicable thing. I think, like, did you want a message? What did you want from me?
Well, yeah, that was exactly what I wanted. I think just the simple fact that you said we're 2 seconds away from peace. I mean, that caught my attention right away. That's because I mean, you know, our minds are so hyperactive. I thought you were going to say we're 2 seconds away from destruction, but you you brought us a little closer in the direction I was hoping to go. Of that, like, look, no, we have a grand opportunity, and there's a lot of hope right now.
There is, man. The hope and peace. Basically, anything else is a construct. At the bottom, it's peace. And then someday we get tired of building too much crap and eventually go back to peace.
Yeah. Oh, man. Thank you, Vahid. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Todd.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Native Yoga Toddcast is produced by myself. The theme music is dreamed up by Bryce Allen. If you like this show, let me know. If there's room for improvement, I want to hear that too. We are curious to know what you think and what you want more of, what I can improve. And if you have ideas for future guests or topics, please send us your thoughts to info@Native Yoga Center. You can find us at nativeyogacenter.com. And hey, if you did like this episode, share it with your friends, rate it and review, and join us next time.